Well, this is Baruch here at Tikun Elevator Kollel, and as we proceed into the 3 weeks, which actually today is Erev Rosh Chodesh Av, so the punishment, the depression, all the difficulties that we have are beginning to become more and more focused on the week in which we find Tisha B'Av. And one of the purpose, and this really defines for those who don't know, the real purpose of Kabbalah is to find a way to sweeten bad things. Now, these things are understood that they all come from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Everything that happens in our world goes through a balance scale, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's just perfect in the middle. So what we need to do is we need to bring everything over to the side of Chesed and Rahmanas. And so these are actually tools that we could use. I've been trying to do this. I forget sometimes. It's really, I'm not one of the world's greatest. I'm not a tzaddik. I forget. But we're going to go over this and give you an idea of what we have seen up to this point. So kavanas mituk adinim. These are the kavanas you need to have when you're praying to be able to sweeten the punishments, the dinim. The may beina mitzarim for the days between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av. L'kaven b'kol ha'tefilos. So he says these are kavanos that we should have in all of the tefillos, and he's going to go review, pass over once again what we learned previously. Now, when you come to the bracha, he says of Mogen Avraham, the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which represents Rachamim Gemurim. Now, Rachamim really means bringing sweetness to dinim. Yair el Achiluf, it would shine, that this name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei should shine into a switch of its name. It's a coded name. And it becomes the name Tadhad. That's why I'm pronouncing it that way. I don't know how you pronounce it. And actually, probably when we see it in the Pasuk, we may see that it is vocalized in different ways, but that's what it is. And what is this? This is taking the Yud and changing it to the letter that comes right before it. Same thing with the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. We're going to change them to the letters that come right before. And the idea is that the Havai is now going to shine towards this name. Then when we come to Birchas Mechayim Mesim, when we come to this next bracha, we take the Havaya. Once again, he says, Shuhu Rachamim Gemurim, it's complete and total Rachamim. Yair el Achiluf, so now that name, this Rachamim name, is going to shine through this set of switched letters. Shem Kozu. So that name now, what is that? Those are the letters that come right after. The letter after Yud is going to be Kaf. The letter after the Hey is going to be a Vav. The letter after the Vav is going to be a Zion. The letter after the Hey is going to be another Vav. That's this name. So your idea here is to shine this name through these letters. Now the next one. Beperchas HaKel HaKadosh. So he said this is a little more complicated one, which we saw once before, and it's going to use a system which is called Atbash. Atbash. That was right. So what we're going to do is that we're going to change the letters here, and I didn't make the chart of Atbash, and I should, because anybody could do this by making a simple chart. Shehu Rachamim Gemurim, you say that, and you said that name shine, El Achiluf, to this name, and this is a way of changing the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei through the system called Atbash, where you basically, and you could do this, you take the Aleph base and go all the way from Aleph to Tov, and then next to the Aleph to Tov, you start the Aleph again going upwards. And in that way, you can see a complete switch. The name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in Atbash is Matz. I don't pronounce the whole name, just Matz. That's the way I was taught, at any rate. There's a difference of opinion amongst Kabbalists, which names we pronounce, which ones we don't. This one is a powerful name, so that's the way I was taught it. Now you come to the bracha of Ritzei. So he says, Ritzei hu osius tsara. Okay, so you could see right away that this is something that you want to change around. You want to get back to Ritzei. Ritzei means will or acceptance. V'hem mispar shem elokim dehein kazeh. So he says, what is Sarah? So he says, Sarah actually has another name that is associated with it if it's spelled like this. Aleph Lamed Fe is the name Elokim, Lamed Mem Daled, double Hey, Yud Vav Daled, and then double Mem. V'tziras Shem Adni, and then you add onto it the name Adni, you'll get it to the gematria of Shin Yud Naled, which is 360, which is, of course, the gematria of a circle. So he says, now you have this. So you say they take the Ritzeh. Let's say we could figure out the name Ritzeh by taking this is called the Milui of the name Elokim, and the Hey would be spelled with a double A. And then you add on to it the name Adni, it comes to this gematria of 360. Now, what do we do with this? So he says, Kavonas Hamitoku, so the Kavana for this sweetening is like this. Shechilufi Hashemos shel shlosh brachos rishona. So these are the first brachos. Shehem tadhad, I don't know, I suppose kozu and matz. Ha'olam b'mispar shin, himakolo, yam ti. In other words, you have to add the root onto it too to get to the exact count. Yam tiko es Hashemus, and it will sweeten this name. This is the name Elokim. Elokim is the name of Din. Adni is the name of the Din that is in Malchus. So he says that these three names will sweeten this name plus that name. That is the name of Elokim spelled out with the Milui of, this is called the Milui of Hayin. And Adni, that. Shehem Mispar Shin, that comes to the gematria of 360. Through that, Vayideza the Hafech Tzara Mitzara. This is a Kavana. Using that, you will switch the Tzara to Ritzeh. Last ones were coming up here. He said, Bebircha Sim Shalom. Now, Sim Shalom, which is in the Nusach Sfard and Sfardi, this is said at the end of the Shemona Esrei. The Ashkenaz have Sholem Rav, so the Latin Ashkenaz doesn't match up with Kabbalah very well. So he says, Sim Shalom, those have two sins, right? That's 300 and 300. So he says, Roshi Tables Haim Beis Shinim, Shehem, and then you say, what is this? They actually come to the gematria of Tidhad, Kazo, and Matz, Olnik and Misper Shin, so they come to the same gematria. But now then we're taking the Shin and the two Shinim, and we're making it into 360s. So he says, and then that's the first thing. Then you take the name, which we used before. This is the Milui, the name Elokim, plus the name Adni, which represent Dinim, Ha'olnika Mizpah Shin, which are also Shin. So you're taking these two Shinim, you're shining them into this, is what it sounds like. So now he says, what's the Kavana? He says, that's the fact. He says, this is the Kavana. Kavana's base Atevos Sim Shalom. What's the Kavana there? So he says, Sim Shalom, Olin Kamizbar, Taf Shin, Kaf Vav. It comes to the number 726. If you take Sim Shalom, so that's 726. Shehem Shnei Pamim Shin, which is 720. V'od Shisha Yitzerim, and then it has 6 left over. So here's 726. 2 times Shin, which is 360 times 2 is 720. And then you have 6 left over. V'od Shisha Yitzerim. So what's Pshat? Yikavan she is matgu habei shinim shehem. So the idea is that you're going to take and you're going to sweeten these two shinim, which are the same gematria as Tad, Koz, and Matz. Ha'olin kamisbar shin, they come up to the gematria of Shin. You're going to take 2 of them, and then you're going to say the Aleph Lamed K. This is we've been using this. This is the Milui of Elokim of Hayin. And also the name Adni, which represents Dinim. Ha'olika Mizpah Shin. V'gam Ashisha Yiserim, and also so that you have all that going together. The other 6, the 6 left over, Haim Shisha Shemos Shehem Havaya, Tad, Koz, Matz, Aleph, and then the spelling out of Elokim and Adni that spells all of that. Now exactly, this is what to do, exactly how it touches together. I'm working on it, but I ain't got it 100% yet. This is Baruch Fleischman, Tikun Elevator Kollel.